Hello everybody, my name is Spezzy and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be reacting to every single world record in Mario Kart World. First one up, we have 147.414 by Atsuki on Mario Bros. Circuit. This will be a long one. I'm doing this for the year anniversary of MK World, so I hope you guys will all enjoy this reaction. Should be just over an hour long, given, you know, there's about just under an hour of world record gameplay, but of course gonna talk a little bit between, give a little bit of world record holder analysis. If you don't know me, I have 2 of the world records in the game out of the 30 tracks, so we'll get to them when we get to them, and I've also held 3 other different unique track records as well, so I can sort of speak highly on those, but I have good knowledge all over the game, so hopefully I can provide a little bit of insight, provide a little bit of background to how these world records happened, you know, the history, who's played the tracks, but yeah. And when I don't have anything to say, I can maybe give a little bit of an update on me and what's coming from me this summer in terms of content, because I've got some interesting stuff, well, not planned I would say, but I have some interesting ideas, so that'll be good. 37 flat, that's the first lap we're looking at today, a flat. That's lovely. But yeah, this record by Atsuki is it's pretty darn good. I'm not an expert on Mario Bros. Circuit, but I know this time can probably come down a tiny bit more, but it is a very good run. Atsuki's been pretty dominant here in recent history. I believe, yeah, only losing it, not having record twice, sort of this year, which was 2 days when Optic had it, with the new sort of developments of this strat right here, where you jump on the barrier and then hop over. So yeah, I believe that is the only time that Atsuki didn't have it, but Atsuki got it back about 2 days later and has held it ever since. And this run has been standing for actually nearly 3 months. It's been standing for 89 days. It's a very strong run, as I said. And yeah, I mean, there's been other dominant players on this track. I mean, Carl Wade being the main one. Logan getting it done here. I think that would have been his 27th record when he was going 30 out of 30. So Logan had this for a little bit, and obviously Optic, as I mentioned before. But Atsuki very dominant here. There is good competition near the top of the leaderboard, so maybe we could see a change. But a very good run from Atsuki to start us off. Next up, we have 203.648 on Crown City by Pluto. My good friend, big man himself, Pluto City. Yeah, he's been very dominant on this track. Basically, I mean, I could say since the game's launch, I'd say probably near about July sort of time. Got his first record on this track in June, but I'd say sort of July, August is when he really started to kick into gear. And he's been dominant here ever since. Had like a world record tie with Burra, another one of my very good friends, but I mean, he's just been very dominant here through all of the strat changes, all of the stuff that's been discovered. He has remained the only constant at the top of the leaderboard on the track in general. So it's been very impressive to see. So we'll give his newest run a good little watch here. Pluto can definitely take some good time off of this run. I think the lap 3, he can add back one of the extra tricks, which we'll see later, but other than that, I think this run is very clean. It's something like, I don't know if it was best pace, but it was something like that. The lap 2, I think, is crazy. Yeah, it's a 388, which we'll get to, but which might be BKS. Like, I can go have a look. That'd be a good thing to pull up for the rest of the video. I will be reading from some stuff next to me. Yeah, it is BKS. I will be reading from some stuff next to me, so I can give you all the high quality info. But yeah. Also, I forgot to mention for the last record, if I think it's going to go like, I don't know if I should say, is it going to go down in the next year? Because the game's been out for a year. Realistically, every single record I react to in this video is going to be beaten in the next year. Realistically. Maybe with like one exception I have in my head, but I'll get to it when I get to it. But, you know, but yeah, this strat, that is incredibly difficult. Glider skip. There's a few, there's like well, I can think of another track immediately, but there's, skipping gliders does seem to be a decent trend in terms of world records, so maybe that's something we can obviously look for in the future, but yeah, on Crown City, that does save a decent amount of time and has let this track sort of go into the mid-203 range after it, got 203 sub, this year. But yeah, the only thing that you can realistically have to save a lot of time is adding another trick here, which you can do, it's just difficult. And this run was so good that you just wanted to play it out and get a free record, which I think is completely fair. Pluto's a bit of a farmer, but yeah, a very good run from Pluto, very clean. Really only need to add one more trick, and this one's going to be very optimized, so very well done. Next up, we have a 143.723 by Jorge, so let's give it a watch. Yeah, Jorge has been absolutely dominant on Whistlestop Summit. He has by far the longest world record reign in the game, and this record is the only world record still standing from 2025. So, could we see it go down? I don't know, we'll see. But it is a very, very good run, and anyone who plays this track at a high level will be able to tell you that Jorge is just ridiculous at this track. I mean, this run is just insane. The amount of micro time save that you don't really notice when you watch the Ghost here, but if you race against this Ghost at a high level and you just see the amount of tiny optimizations he's able to squeeze out, it's ridiculous. I was in the Time Trial Discord server earlier, and I think I made the analogy that he can squeeze orange juice out of apples. Was what I went for, because it's true. This is Jorge's thing. He just is unbelievable at this track. I mean, you watch the run and it's like, where is the mistake? I don't even know, because the strategy goes for it is just ridiculous. I mean like, what is happening? But yeah. Do I think this will go down? Yes, I think this track will be able to get a little bit more optimized, but I mean, this run is so good. But you know, a track like this usually has a little bit of ways to go. It's such a played track in the online community where I could definitely see it becoming more optimized in the future, but it's hard to even see what that would be. But you know, you can expect something is that's gonna happen on this track in the next year, I think. Yeah, for these all world record reactions videos, by the way, I was thinking maybe I should start doing this every anniversary, so obviously the 1 year anniversary, and then I can do it every new year, so I can be like end of 2026 world records, and then I can say like 2 years of MK world records, for example, like in the next sort of year. Let me know if that's like a good idea. I think that'll be a fun way to sort of document the history, and also get my reactions for everything and get some good content. But yeah, this run by Jorge is crazy. There's really not been much competition any recently, so it's not really anything I can talk about. But yeah, crazy run. DK Spaceport in 128.623 by Optic, my good friend Optic. Yeah, if you guys aren't aware, I'm in a group chat with some world record holders. So whenever I'm in, whenever one of those one of my friends in this video, I will make sure to give them a shout out. So Optic is number 2, alongside Pluto, and I guess Bro I shouted out earlier as well. Optic, very cool. With the camera at the start, this track has had some very interesting developments in recent times, and this track has had lots of sort of different phases of people who've been on top. Optic obviously being the most recent. Earlier in the game's life, you kind of had like K4i, and recently there have been some world record battles. King Alex came through here, beat one of Optic's long-lasting records. Optic took it back, and then Japanese player Dream, not that Dream, managed to get this record, and they've been sort of trading back and forth, but Optic has come out on top in the short term. We'll see what happens in the long term. Speaking to Optic about this track has been interesting. Optic sort of thinks that this track will kind of get capped at like a 0.4 for a while, because there's a pace lock on section 6, which is interesting. So the Robo sort of DK, which we're going to see at the end, is like, it sort of slaps the ground on a cycle. And what happens in the current record is he does that, and that allows you to get like a trick off the ground. But we're close to going too fast to where that would happen. So if we go about 0.2 or a little bit more faster, you won't get that. Sorry. So you'll lose time for that. So the track might be pace locked, unless something like big is found and like an ending thing to get around it is found. But you'll see it right here. She managed to stay on the platform, which is very nice. But yeah. So it goes along the ground, and then you can see it just gets a random trick. So that slap on the, like the DK slap in the ground, makes the ground shake, and you can get a trick off that. So this track could be pace locked, but until we get to there, we're going to see some more improvements, definitely, because there is room to go on this track. But very good run. 137.73 by Jacob. We still don't know who this guy is. If you guys are not in the loop in the time trial scene, Jacob is a bit of a mysterious character, because we don't have any connections with him. We don't know who he is. We don't know where he's from. We don't know what he's here for. We don't know what he wants. He could be anywhere. He could be hiding out in, you know, Central Africa. He could be living in the White House. We don't know who Jacob is. But nonetheless, the only thing that we do know is that he is incredibly talented at DS Desert Hills and has been dominant here for at least the last few months, representing his country of question mark. Sort of took the reins here off of Cole, and Logan for a bit actually was also doing quite well here. This is a track he'd often go back to, sort of in between his track grinds, which is interesting. So he had some success here, alongside Cole, who hasn't had a record here in a bit since Jacob has sort of taking the reins here. But this track is one of the most optimizable tracks in the game in terms of how much time save we have left to go, because that's what we're going to see on lap 3 can be done all 3 laps in terms of taking the right route with only 1 mushroom. So you'll see that on lap 3. It's unbelievably difficult, so that's why that we haven't seen that yet, but there are players who have said they're going to go for this. Jacob himself could be going for it right now, and we'd have no idea because we don't have any connections with him. We don't know what he's going for right now, but nonetheless, I mean, I think he had a little bit of offer there, so we still have time to save with a 1 for free, but you could imagine a 2 for free or a 3 for free of this ending strat that we're about to see right here is going to come soon. I've heard a couple players talk about it. I think I heard G Danzy talk about it, who we're going to see later on Bowser's Castle. And I think other people have talked about it. Maybe Lean talked about it. I don't know. But there's other top players on this track who go for it. But very good run by Jacob, so we'll see what happens here. 150.479 by Zay, the second multi-record holder we're seeing in this video. I forgot to shout it out, but Optic does have more times later, so we will be seeing her again. And Zay is the second multi-record holder we will see in this video. Let me have some of my drink. There we go. Yeah, Zay crushed this track. This track, for a period of time, well, Zay was initially dominant on this track, sort of near the start of the game's life, heading in towards the middle of the game's life, maybe 6 months in. But this track was then taken over by a Japanese player, Buchiyama, who had a very, very long-standing record here. Became, I believe, the longest-lasting record in the game, I think. It must be true. Probably like the second most now, behind the old Toad's factory run, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, Zay came back and had a little bit of a race to see who could beat Bochiyama alongside Umbre. Shoutouts to Umbre. But Zay pulled through here and then has very quickly optimized it to a 0.4, which is ridiculous. I mean, this run is unbelievable. And I could see this run standing for a long time if Zay doesn't want to play this track, because this run is really good. I mean, look at that turn skip. Anyone who plays online will know that that turn skip should never look that smooth. And even the people who time trial this track, you know, that turn skip is just not... You're not meant to do it that well. So it's pretty crazy. But yeah. Sorry, around my hair. Whereas it's all over the place. But yeah, this run is crazy. And I could see Zay holding on to this track for a decent amount of time. I wouldn't be surprised if I do this video again in sort of 7 months' time, like I was talking about earlier. And Zay still has this. It'll be incredibly expected. I wouldn't even be surprised if it was the exact same run, because this run is just that good. But that's how it is. I don't know. Not too much to say. This track has sort of been not figured out, I suppose, but very quickly sort of understood how to go quick. Which is why we've seen such dominant people and times here, because people just see a run and they go, oh wow, that's so optimized. I can't beat that. And then people move on with their day, and that's exactly what people do now, because that was a really, really good run. 159.882 by Nugget, Japanese player, known for being very good at Bowser's Castle Wii, in Mario Kart Wii, of course. Was able to transfer his skills over to Wario Stadium, and has been very, very dominant for basically the whole of the game's life. I mean, looking here, he has 79% duration on this track. So he's had the record for 79% of the time that the game's been out. So that's very, very dominant. Of course, there's been different players who have sort of come and gone here. Optic being the most recent, with the implementation of some new strats. The main one being that we now do Valor free for free, which is the strat where you get onto the rail later, which we'll show. We used to go wide to get coins, but now we instead go get this coin, and then we take Valor lap 1, which is interesting. It is very interesting. And by the way, that right rail trick is so difficult. But yeah, other players have come and gone here. Logan, obviously when he had his world record grind, and I think he actually improved this track again. So yeah, he actually got 2 records here, rather than the typical 1 that he sometimes likes to get. But yeah, this run by Nugget's been very good. It's been standing for 44 days. Honestly, feels like longer. I feel like this run has happened. This run feels like it happened a while ago. Maybe that's just me. Maybe it's because of like the new strats and stuff, and I'm just so used to it now. But yeah, it feels like this run has been around for a while, which sort of makes sense, I guess, because this is just a clean run. I mean, this time can still come down, of course. The strats hadn't existed for that long before Nugget got this time, so I'm sure with a little bit of micro optimization this track can come down more, but it is a very good run, and there's a reason he's the only sub 2 on the leaderboard, because he is just quite good at this track. That's it. I mean, this is where basically all of his playtime has gone from what we know, because hasn't really been had a record on any other track. So yeah. I mean, look at this stuff. It's just so cool. But yeah, do I think this will go down? Yes, I think this will go down, but it will be difficult, of course, because it is a good run. Like all of these runs we're going to watch. But yeah, definitely one of the most interesting tracks in the game in terms of online especially, but time trials as well. It's a good spectacle for the people who maybe don't watch a ton of this game. It's like, whoa, what are we doing? So yeah, it's a very, very cool run. I'm very happy to see him get the sub here to make it look even cooler, so well done. 154.025 by Lego Wee Man. The man himself, the Lego Wee Man himself. I referenced earlier a record that maybe won't get beaten in the next year. And this is that world record. And there's two reasons for that. One, this is one of the best records in the game. I mean, that's just simply a fact. This is a crazy, crazy, crazy run by big LWM. But the second thing is that one of the latest patches actually made this track slightly slower because of the change in rail mechanics, which I think costs about 0.1. I forget where the actual time loss is, but I believe it's about 0.1. And with the track being so optimized, from what I've heard, there's been talks about even removing this time from the leaderboard because it's inaccurate. But like, yeah, it's interesting. So it's difficult to see where this track goes because there's a world where this time is just standing in a year because of the patch. So I don't know, maybe that's something the community needs to talk about more in terms of the update, but nonetheless, this run is just so good where I don't even mind. It's not something that bothers me too much. Not one of my favorite tracks on this one. When the game came out, I was quite interested in it, but as time's gone on, I think Airship Fortress is one of the tracks I'm not the most fond of, I must admit. To a casual, it's probably very cool, but I don't know, after playing it quite a lot, it's not a track I find particularly interesting to race online, and I don't think time trials is that interesting, so yeah. But the world record does make it look very optimized and very cool, so at least we have that. Of course, using Spike on the mock record. I think it's the only track now that uses this sort of Spike weight class. I know like Mario Bros. Circuit used this for a bit. Which I guess is something else I can mention, the fact that, you know, different tracks have had character changes. I don't know if we've looked at one yet that's really had a major change. But yeah, I suppose I could touch on that when it happens, but yeah. But nonetheless, as I mentioned earlier, this track is so optimized. So it's honestly difficult to see when this record will be beaten. I anticipate it won't be for a while. Whether it actually stands the full year, like I mentioned earlier, I'm not sure, but we'll have to see. But a really good run by Lego Wee Man, so I'd like to see what he does in the future. And introducing the newest time set only about an hour before I started recording, not even, I don't think, it is Mikkel with a 157.865, a massive world record cut, getting the first 157 on DK Pass. I haven't even seen this run yet, so I'm excited to go give it a watch. So yeah, I'm curious where their mistakes are, if there even are any mistakes, because it sounded very positive when he was posting about the run, so I'm curious where or if there are any slip-ups. And if there are any slip-ups, where are they? That's how I should phrase it. But yeah, this track has had really, really interesting world record progression, and there's definitely one that I could talk about in, honestly, a separate video. So if people are interested in that, let me know. I could talk about this in a separate video, because this track has been so interesting. One of the most interesting developments for any world record. Not just like in recent times, but also in the whole game's lifespan. I mean, this track has had so many different oppositions, and that is the newest part of the puzzle. Newest piece to the puzzle, I should say. The charge jump up to the rail with the right trick and the shake trick off the wrench, and then you get the phantom, and then boom, and then you get hit, and you do the shortcut. Oh, it's so good. But yeah, this track is awesome at world record level now, and it's gone through ups and downs, I think, in terms of how interesting we find it, but right now it looks so cool to watch. To play, I'm not too sure. I haven't even learnt this strat we're about to see again right here. I haven't even learnt this yet. So I will tell you all what I think of it when I learn it, which will hopefully be quite soon, because it's definitely a track I need to improve in terms of my personal timesheet, which, by the way, I will be making a video about my timesheet soon, so stay tuned when it's the year anniversary of me playing the game, which was on June the 9th, so I think I'll record it on that day, hopefully. But we'll have to see. But nonetheless, hit a bit of off-road there, that's interesting. This is a really, really good run by Mikkel. Mikkel has grinded hard for this run. This track has been incredibly competitive. Since the game came out, it's gone through different phases. Of course, early on, you sort of had Kane and... Is it Holpy or Halpy? I don't even know. But when it was sort of on the Bowser Real Racer phase, and then Mikkel getting involved, Nightmare getting involved. They've had a sort of a world record battle recently. Logan getting involved. Logan was dominant here for a while just before they sort of got to the sub 2 mark. And then Optic introducing this strat, and then obviously Lean getting involved. Tanuki, another runner who's been doing very well on this track, so shoutouts to him. This track's been really interesting, and it'll be interesting to see where it goes in the next year. So major congrats to Mikkel. 2:10.954 by Zay. We mentioned him earlier, of course, on Shy Guy Bazaar. And he's back for his second world record of the video. His second and final, unfortunately. We would be saying goodbye to Zay. Alongside all of the, of course, one-track world record holders we've seen in this video who, obviously if that's the case, if they only have a record on one track, then goodbye and give you your contributions. But Zay making his second contribution here with a really good run on Starview Peak. The first 2:10. Switching the track back to Cow, which is interesting. This track has gone through interesting phases. Sort of, we had the pre-Shroomless time and then the post-Shroomless time, which sort of came out, I don't know, it would have been like September, October time, I reckon about September. But yeah, the Shroomless cut, of course, being this, where you ride on the side of the wall. Pretty difficult. Definitely doable. You can do this yourself, but, it's difficult. And makes this track pretty cool to watch, at least in that phase. And then we have this new strat where you get a little edge trick at the start here, which is a recent implementation. It's allowed the record to come down a little bit more. But there's been a few players who've been dominant here. Wood, Logan had the record here for a bit. Of course, we had Mikkel. I think there was someone else I'm forgetting in recent times. Hold on, let me look. Hold on, who am I forgetting? I'm forgetting someone, sure. Oh no, Wood had it again. Okay, that's my bad. So Wood, yeah, it was Wood, Logan, and Mikkel. And then, of course, Zay got this. I mean, it's been his only record on the track since sort of... I mean, here it says since pre-patch. I mean, did he ever have a record on this track? No, he didn't. Wow, that's crazy. So yeah, this is his first record on the track, but it's a really, really strong one. And beat Mikkel's record by just over 0.2, switching the track back to Cow. The track was on Cow, that sort of weight class with Cow. Charging Truck and Donkey Kong. But it switched to sort of middleweights with, the Hammer Luigi Pokey class, which has extra off-road for that sort of weight class, alongside, the Cow, which has extra off-road, but for the highest weight class that isn't Bowser. So they switched it back to get a little bit of time save, even though the community actually thought it was the other way around. They actually thought that it wasn't. I didn't say time to use that. But he missed the orange MT there, so this track can definitely come down. There's still a really good run from Zay, especially as their first record on the track. And it stood for a decent amount of time, so very well done. Another one of the new world records only set yesterday. It is a 1:52.758 by Optic. This track has had a little bit of a transformation in the last, sort of couple of weeks, and it was finally all strung together in a world record by Optic, getting another unique track world record, taking it away from Jamie, who has been very, very dominant on this track since sort of, end of 2025, or the latter half of 2025, I should say. So very impressive. And yeah, I'm not too familiar with the strats, but I will be able to point them out. But a part of it is a different coin strat. So we're now skipping that coin on the right, which is interesting. And instead, we're going to replace it with a different coin later on S2. I think that's just a backup strat. I think that saves time. But yeah, which is interesting. And there's also some other stuff that's pretty new and cool. I think there's one at the start of the lap. I'm now forgetting. I'm being a bit silly. But yeah, we'll have to see. Optic has been on a tear recently in terms of picking up tracks and getting good times. She does have the best timesheet in the game, very close to a 58 timesheet, which is crazy. I think she has a 59.01. But yeah, the other thing on the track is here. You can now sort of do this, and then you jump in the middle, which is crazy. This just looks ridiculous. I don't know. I feel like you could do it some better way, because you lose your boost, but I understand why it's faster because you skip the whole going up and down, so you get to go straight. But I feel like you could find some way to keep boost there. I don't know. And then this trick, oh my goodness, this trick is so annoying. I remember Optic posting a world record fail lap 3 to that trick because it's just so difficult. And it's rough, but she did manage to pull through. Optic getting a second record of the video. She's got one more later. She's one of the 2 people with 3 alongside a player we haven't seen yet. So stay tuned. But yeah, overall, this is a very impressive run, and it'll be interesting to see what the world record battle is here, because Jamie could definitely take this back. I could definitely see him coming back, because he was playing semi-recently when he got his previous world record, which was obviously just being about to. But yeah, trick again, lovely, love to see it. And a good camera turn at the end for good measure, very well done. 216-100 by another player who's been... Good pun there. Another player who's been pretty dominant on this track. I would say, I mean, maybe dominant is the wrong word. Did lose the record semi-recently to Optic, who picked up this track using a couple of strats to take the record. But Nova, since then, has done very well to take it back and has lowered this record to a 0.1. But this track is interesting because it's one of those tracks where there's a lot of people who actually like sort of main this track and don't play many other tracks, which is interesting. The main one being Lumi, who I believe is 2nd worldwide. Another, of course, mainly plays this track, albeit I do think he also has obviously, of course, had records on Choco Mountain, and I think is actively actually playing that track at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see if he can take that. And we'll mention that. We'll mention that. I'm not blooming business. I'll mention that later in the video when we get to Choco Mountain. Of course, that's a track later in the game, so I'll talk about that later. But yeah, another very, very good at this track, has got a very good amount of consistency, is able to take records back here very effectively. So yeah, very good. This track is one of the more difficult tracks to optimize in the game because of all the wave tricks. So it's a track where we're a little bit off BKS. You know, I think, 215 is definitely on the cards here, but it is just very difficult because water driving is just that little bit inconsistent, even for world record orders. So everything can see some optimizations. I think you can get a trick there before you get on that rail, for example, but it just purely depends on like the waves. They are the same every time, but the cycles, obviously, if you're there 1 frame later or 1 frame earlier, it's going to be weird. And this strat is also really cool. You get to jump onto this pole right here, and it does save a little bit on that too. I think we also will see it again, that 3. But yeah, some difficult driving strats on this track, so it's cool to see it get optimized. I just want to have a look at the sort of history of this track, because I know there's been different sort of players who've come and gone here. King Alex being one of them, Birder, Lumi, who I mentioned before, and Optic. So yeah, of course there's been people who have had their sort of time on this track, but it's been another's time to shine for a decent amount of time now, sort of since the end of last year. And this record has been stood for just over 2.5 months, so one that can be improved, but one that also is strong enough where it can stand the test of time, at least for now. But yeah, definitely a track that we will see come down further, but even still, it is a really good run, and yeah, that's super cool. Hits the tech very well, so yeah, very impressive run. So on to another. Next up, we have a 126.568 by Alberto. Another one of the multi-record holders, who we will actually be seeing decently soon because his second track isn't too far away. So yeah, stay tuned. But this is his first. Koopa Troopa Beach has been Alberto Beach for the entire game. We've had other tracks in this video where I sort of mention what's the competition like, and who's going to potentially take the record from Alberto or whoever has the record on another track. Yeah, not this one. This one is a bit more linear, because there's really not been much. I mean, I can mention when the cut was sort of found. This streamless cut, which you're seeing, and which is done, I believe, all 3 laps. Maybe it's not done on 3. I don't even know. I think it's done every lap now. But yeah, nonetheless, we're sort of implemented by Alberto himself and Lean. Other players also had records on this track, like Patata and Mirai. But yeah, outside of that, I mean, if you go before, I mean, yeah, it's been like barely any competition. Mori had this for a tiny bit for a day, and Technical had this for a tiny bit. But yeah, other than that, Alberto has been ridiculously dominant on this track, so very well done to him. And you can sort of see why by watching this run, because this run is, pretty good. As they say. Doesn't actually do it for free. 5-5, interesting. So there is time saved left on the track. I lied. I told I told a lie. But yeah. But I mean, there's a reason for that. The cut is just hard. You know, if you can do it 4 times, like, yeah, he's doing it again. If you do it 4 times, you can do it 5 times. You know. So yeah, definitely one that could be taken. I think Lean is close here. So we'll see if he ever goes back to this. But yeah. Ooh, nudge right at the end. Lack of aura. Next up, we have 154.764 by Mr. James or James. I haven't got enough room for times. Let's delete some times. Hold on. There we go. Yeah, James. You know, I was just mentioning Alberto's dominance on Koopa Troopa Beach. Yeah, Control C, Control V, because James has been absolutely dominant here. Has barely lost the record. Only lost it a couple times. In, you know, the whole game's lifespan. I forget who the recent... it starts off like an M, but it's a Japanese player who got a 154.889, came through and had that record actually for 10 days, which is actually the longest time that James has gone without the record. And that was only a month ago. But James came back here and swiftly, I say swiftly after 10 days, but, you know, he swiftly reclaimed. You know, sort of returned his rightful ownership to the Faraway Oasis. Also lost it to Japanese player Orisu back in February. I know that name. And lost it to, I don't know, No Life VV on the 30th of November. I think that's when the new sort of rail skip strat was found. Lost it to Barney for a bit. Lost it to Catch. I say for a bit, under a day. Lost it to Catch pre-patch under a day. Lost it to Logan for 3 days in June. And yeah, that's about it. And he started getting records on this track on the 6th of June. So yeah, literally, he could barely do any more. He is Mr. Faraway. And likely his time is very far away from you. So, sort of fitting. But yeah, James has been so dominant here. It's been really cool to see, actually. It's cool to see a player start out with the game, start playing a track, and just keep that consistency. He hasn't tried to sort of branch out. He hasn't tried to really go for another world record, which is interesting, because he's definitely a player who could have the skill to do that. He's just sort of stayed in his lane and just made this track his own, which ain't a bad thing, because when we think of Faraway Oasis, we think of James. So it's suddenly, you know, that's something that a lot of people would kill for. So very, very well done to him. This track still can go down. It's just one of those, it's quite hard to optimize, but it can go down a little bit. But overall, James has done a fantastic job here. So major props, my fellow Brit. You know, God save the, you know, whoever, you know, I don't know. Next up, we have a 213.998 by Jack, the man himself. Big man Jack. One of the 3 world record holders. So... I said that so wrong. Triple world record holders. He has 3 world records. He's one of the 2 people with that alongside Optic. So yeah, very, very impressive. And this is his first, and you could argue his strongest track that sort of maybe put him on the map. Because, yeah, this run is insane. And Jack has really made Peach Stadium his own with this run, being the first 213. It's such a cool looking time as well, 213.998. But yeah, this track is so difficult. There's so much tech here with this, and then this. And then you gotta get up here, and then you gotta do this, and then you jump off the wall, and oh, it's gonna be all over. It's fine. We're not gonna do anything more. Wait, no, we gotta do this, and this, and this, and this, and oh my god, it's crazy. But yeah, Jack is a bit of a madman, you know, and just decides to jump off loads of poles, because why not? Yeah, mental. Jack's crazy at this game. I don't think I need to remind you all. But yeah, there have been different people who have sort of come along here. Arisugawa, before sort of all of the tech was found, you know, the spiral skip and the ending stuff, was sort of the main player here, and I think it would have been the longest record in the game. Longest lasting record in the game, I should say, up until the point he was beaten by Jack. And Jack since then has just been absolutely destructive. I mean, it's been incredible to watch, honestly, because he's turned this track into a track that is really enjoyable to watch. I mean, it's really fun to watch Speed Stadium now. this is one of the coolest records in the game to watch now, which is awesome. Because at the start of the game, it was like, oh, okay, this track's a bit boring. I don't really get the point. Now I see the point, because this track is pretty awesome. Yeah, maybe one of the more forgettable tracks in terms of the general game, but I mean, of course, it has its sort of storyline significance with multiple sort of endings and the fact it leads to Rainbow Road. But aside from that, it's not potentially the most memorable typically, but you know, this record makes it one of the most interesting in the game, and that is all thanks to Jack and the people who discovered all the strats, so thank you very much, and that was a great run. Next up, we have Peach Beach 140-139 by Arisugawa. This is the first record we will be seeing from Arisugawa. He does have another one later on Toad's Factory, so we will get to it when we get to it. But Peach Beach is the first one we'll be looking at. Arisugawa has been one of the most dominant players in the game thus far since MK World's release, because of his incredible skill to pick up tracks and just completely dominate them, which is exactly what he's done in recent times here on Peach Beach. There's been, of course, different players who've been dominating Peach Beach. Time Charles, main one being K4I for a bit. Panda came along and picked up this game and this track in sort of November time, and Arisugawa has taken over for just over a month now, and this run has been standing for 40 days, which is very, very impressive. That being said, Peach Beach, not the most interesting track in the game overall, but it does have some cool tech for time trials, and actually to time trial itself isn't too bad of a track. It can be somewhat interesting. Obviously online, it's a little bit lackluster though. Good little ride on the wall there, but yeah, this track is we are just under 0.150 away from a sub. 139. I think that'd be pretty cool to see. I think it is possible. I'll have a look at BKS. I don't know what BKS is on this track. I haven't really looked before. It's 140.073. Okay, so we are very close to BKS here, but we also don't know Arisugawa's best splits probably, because Arisugawa isn't particularly connected with the community. He was for a period of time. He got Discord for a bit, but I don't think he's active at the moment. So there's a potential chance he has better splits here, and maybe there is a BKS that is 139, but we don't really know. We don't know too much about his attempts. But one thing they did get added is this charge jump on this wall, and then tricking on top of that, which is it's something. And yeah, now we save the mushroom to the end to get a little to mushroom off of ramps, because mushrooming out of water off of a ramp is pretty good. So yeah. 154.614 by Optic, making her, I believe, second appearance in the video. No, making her third appearance. Third and final appearance, my bad. Because, of course, we've already seen already Sky High Sundae and on DK Spaceport, so this is her final appearance. So we will be saying goodbye to Optic. But that's okay, because this run is pretty cool. Optic has been dominant on this track since the implementation of the new character combo. I say new, it's been around for a bit now, but this track was originally a track that was played on sort of like the Real Racer and like a heavy character. But the route completely changed, near the, what it would have been the latter end of last year? I mean, something like that, I don't even know. It's a way to think about how much this track has sort of changed, and like when did it change, I don't know. Let's have a look. This track changed combo in December. Wow, so December 17th was Optic's first record on this track. The track previously was on Bowser Real Racer by Barney. Barney had been optimizing this track. The record had traded hands a few times through like Alberto, Barney, Biggie, Bray, Yuki, Japanese player, and a couple others earlier in the game's lifespan. And then Optic sort of took the helm here with this, and adding this strat, which is awesome, by the way. That strat is so cool. I love that strat. That's one of the more recent developments, which was added by Atsuki, who we saw on Mario Bros. Circuit earlier. He implemented that strat and got the world record, and Optic took it back with this record, which has been stood for just under a month now. Those like tricks. Oh my god, this is so difficult. This run is very solid. Optic can definitely get this down, but especially she's just had higher priorities at the moment, so yeah, we'll see where this track goes, but definitely can go down a little bit in terms of time. But yeah, and then when the new combo change happened, it sort of got traded between Optic, Alberto, French player Kaizu, who is more sort of known for online, but did have the record here for a day, and Logan, who had this record for a couple days as well, with sort of when the implementation of this triple trick was added. I mean, there's been so many strat finds since the combo change, which has been great. And yeah, that's a really cool record. So hopefully it can come down even more in the following year and beyond. Dino Dino Jungle by Shortcut. Okay, I'm joking. It's not actually by Shortcut. That's a fake time. The actual record is a 1:44.311 by Alberto. Yeah, Alberto has had this record for a very solid amount of time. Has taken this from Arisugawa, who had been pretty dominant on this track, had a record stand over 141 days. Alberto beat it, and this run set by him, which was the one that beat the one that lasted 141 days, is lasted for 110. So there's been 2 records on this track that lasted for 251 days, which is kind of crazy, actually. Like that record by Arisugawa was set on the 27th of September, and it's only been beaten once, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, Alberto switching the character to the Hammer Bro, as we used to use the cow here. Just gives you a little bit of a better coin curve, if you're not aware, of course. Lighter the character, the earlier the coins make you speed up, if that makes sense. So basically, the coins give you a percentage speed increase. If you're a lighter character, that percentage goes up sooner and then goes up by less later, whereas the heavy characters, it's the complete opposite. So the fact that we get sort of a low coin count on this track sort of benefits Hammer Bro. Still like slightly slower in terms of just like road, like sort of just driving a straight line speed than cow, but the extra handling and other stats makes it a little bit worth it. Just about. So yeah, it's pretty interesting to see. It's a cool little meta shift, and maybe we'll see more of them in the next year of the game. I'd assume so. I think we'll see more meta shifts. The more we sort of learn about the game, the more strats we find, because again, we're still discovering stuff to this day, so there will definitely be more to come here. But yeah, this run is very clean by Alberto. Not been a main, there's not really been a competitor for this track for a bit, so we'll see what happens over the next, amount of time. This track has been mainly pushed down by Alberto and Arisugawa. There's been a couple other people who have obviously chipped in and gotten records, like Logan coming through here. I mean, I could say Logan for literally every track because obviously got a record on every track, but yes, Alberto, pretty clean run. So yeah, well done. There's a reason why this is wrong. So well done, Alberto. Great question, Block Ruins 201902 by yours truly, Spezzy, aka me. Yeah. In terms of the record history on this track, I've had this record for a very long time, only losing it for one day when Logan picked up the track to get his 29th out of 30 unique records. There we go, I found the words. And other than that, I haven't had any competition other than Frisk back in July. So yeah, I've had a lot of sort of free, sort of personal space to improve this track, and I'd say I've done a decent job getting this track down to a low 0.9. This track can come down a little bit more. I could see this coming down to maybe a 0.7 with a very good run, and maybe with the implementation of some very, very, very difficult strats, which I know about, maybe could come down to a 0.6. But other than that, this track is very difficult to optimize, and was sort of like a big hype point at the start of the game, which is why the track receives so much, sort of attention and so much strat finding in the start. And then I sort of struggled to sort of have any developments in sort of recent times. I say recent times, sort of the last 11 months. But this strat is pretty new. It saves a couple of frames per lap, sort of chaining together drifts. Just allows you to get the drift going into the kart with an MT. So even if you lose a little bit of time before then, the fact that you don't have to hop normally without a boost, which loses time, saves a bit of that time back and more. So it allows... yeah, for a little bit of time save. But other than that, there's really not been any major developments on the track. Some, glider tech. But that's it. Like, I don't know, like the glider stuff here, we've sort of figured out how to take this optimally, because we weren't fully aware, like, what the correct lines were before, but near the start of the game. But yeah, other than that, I don't have much to say. I don't know, I could talk about GBR for ages. I'm sure I'll make a video going into detail on GBR sometime in the near future, so if you're interested in that, let me know in the comment section, or leave a like. I don't know, I haven't even said that yet. Leave a like and subscribe if you're enjoying the video. You're like, what, probably about, I don't know, I've been recording for 54 minutes. I don't know, I'll be cutting stuff, so maybe about 50 minutes, 45 minutes in. So if you're enjoying the video so far, then yeah, leave a like and subscribe. That'd be really cool. But yeah, this is me. This is one of the 2 world records I have. The other one we'll be getting to in a few tracks' time. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. I say I'm pretty happy with this. Obviously, I'm delighted to have this. But yeah, definitely can do more, and we'll be doing more in the coming year. So stay tuned. 154,001 by my man Flurry. His name's 53 Flurry. Fortunately, didn't get the 153, but it's okay. Flurry, another one of my very good friends. So lovely to see him still dominating Cheep Falls. He's been very, very dominant here since the game's not released, but you know, since quite early on in the game's lifespan. Through all of the sort of strat changes we've seen, through you know the implementation of all of the Nisks, all the Tarzans, you know, the character changes, etc. And even the new stuff like this starting rail here that we now use. You use the left trick here, and then trick, and then you get another trick, and then you do a different variation on map 2 and 3. We get like a phantom trick. It's pretty cool. Yeah, cool to see Dominant here, and he's going to pull through with the 153 in due course. I'm very confident of that. But yeah, this is a very difficult track to play at this level. A lot of micro time losses you can get with the water and stuff like that, so it's a very difficult track to play. So it's very impressive that he's able to get a time this good. Hasn't had too much of competition as of late. The main competition has been Optic, who took the record with some new strats, which is the real stuff that you're about to see again here, when this sort of was found. And then a bit ago, Pluto, who we saw in Crown City, of course. Also, gave him a little bit of a run for his money for a period of time, but obviously Flurry coming back strong, and has been dominant sort of for a good while now. And honestly, can't really see that changing anytime soon, because he is just sort of that different level on this track at the moment. So it's very cool. But yeah, 620. I mean, obviously 153 is going to happen here, so expect this run that I'm reacting to right now to not stand for too long, because Flurry will be playing this, I'm sure of it, to improve it. But yeah, overall, very, very impressive run. I mean, it's so close to the sub. It's sort of frustrating, but it's a cool looking time, so it's okay. It's okay. Of course, got the Tarzan there. Very, very cool strat. I mean, it's going to be one of my favourite strats in the game. I mean, it's so awesome. I found a little bit after launch, actually. And sorry, after launch. I say like a bit after the game's release, like a few months. But yeah, really, really cool. Oh, it's him again. It's Jack with a 2:17.893 on Dandelion Depths. Maybe one of the more forgettable tracks in the game typically, but at world record level, this track has had a lot of optimizations recently, and Jack has been heavily pushing this track down, because it feels like only a few weeks ago, this track was at a 2:18.3. It didn't really have too much record activity after the discovery of a strat that I'm going to be talking about in about 20 seconds from now. But yeah, Jack has sort of picked this track up and has lowered it by about 0.5 seconds in what feels like 0 time. So it's crazy. I don't know, Jack is just at that level. He's just one of those players who has such a high ceiling when he gets really good at these tracks. Or any track, really, from what we've seen. And yeah, this is the strat, the alternate route. I don't know what the official name of this strat is, but yeah, taking the other route. This strat is actually one that you can kind of learn to implement into your online races. It's one that I've learned myself. To add to not only to my time trials, of course, to improve my PB. I took it down by about a second using this, but it's one that you can implement online, which is pretty awesome. If you get consistent enough at the driving, which I have done, thankfully, through practicing it on my online combo alongside my time trial combo. And then obviously that pole jump at the end is really, really cool. That's another thing that you can even do online, to be honest. It's something I've sort of tried to implement into my gameplay. But this track isn't picked too much online, so I actually don't get to do it that much. So it's interesting. But yeah, Jack has done such a good job. It's so impressive. I mean, he has been grinding this track. I mean, if you're in the Mario World Time Trial Discord, you see Jack posting best splits on this track every single day. It's insane. Not only that, but there's different ways there's different routes you can do in terms of what order you do the coin. He unfortunately missed the trick though, so this track can come down more. But you see he gets the left coins here. You can choose to get these lap 1 if you want. It just depends on your alignment going out of the water section. So the community decides to track both, because it is slightly faster to go one of the ways over the other. So like it would make it so it's like it would make the splits weird to track if when you're tracking the best splits on the track. So, and Jack just posts splits every day for both. Like it's insane. It's insane. His consistency is unmatched. In my opinion, he has to be in that conversation for one of the best time travelers in the game right now, which I think is another interesting topic. Let me know if you'd be interested to see me talk about that. Who is really, like the best player when we look at this stuff. Like, I find those topics really interesting. and maybe it could be something I talk about. But I think Jack is right up there. He is just so unbelievably consistent. It's so much fun to watch his runs, and I really hope he improves this a little bit more, because as we talked about the lap 2 mistake, definitely can at least bring this down to a 0.7, maybe even a 0.6. But yeah, nonetheless, really, really solid run, and well done to Jack. Boo Cinema by the legend that is J-Bone X, the Mr. Boo Cinema himself. Hasn't held the record, of course, for the entire of Boo Cinema's, sort of life. There's been people who've come and gone here, like the Red Pills, myself. I've had records here. I had 4 records here, sort of in the latter. I think it would have been November 2025. Optic recently got this record, and Pepe as well, getting the first 203, which is extremely impressive. This track, to be honest, is horrible. This track is horrible to optimize. Look, it's a really cool looking track, and it's a really cool world record to watch. And if you're a casual viewer watching the world record, it's really awesome to watch. But to time trial this track, it is horrible, because there is a lot of a thing called RNG, aka luck. And the main luck comes from the beginning mushroom shortcut. There's been a load of cool shortcuts which we've seen so far. This run by J-Bone, by the way, is really, really weird. He does like a load of random things which at the top level make like no sense. He gets the right coin there, which we just typically don't do. But this shortcut, oh my god. I mean, you see that there. You just get random bounces in air, and most runs die there. I mean, 10% to 20% at best make it last. And this ramp is also new. Charge jumping onto the ramp. Very inconsistent, very weird. One of the reasons I sort of dropped the track sort of at the start of this year. Just so frustrating. And even then, just like trying to learn some of this stuff is just like horrible now. Yeah, this glider skip here is something that I implemented in my world records for the first time. Wasn't discovered by me, but I was the first person to implement it in a world record. Doing it for free, which is pretty cool. But yeah, J-Bone is sort of taking the torch here. But yeah, there's definitely competition on this track. Red Pill has come back playing this track as a 0.8 now. And there's obviously other people who could potentially play and get this record. So it'll be interesting to see where this track goes. Obviously, me, myself, I'm less than 0.2 away from this, and I use pretty old strats. So technically, if I updated my strats, I could get world record here. Is what I would say if I actually wanted to play this track again, which I just really don't. This track is just very, very difficult, but it is a really very enjoyable watch. And once this track gets a good run, the run that it deserves as well, because the amount of time that a lot of top players, including myself, put into this track has been ridiculous. When the track gets the run it deserves, it's going to be so good, because this track can definitely go at least into the lower 203s, which is crazy. But yeah, well done for J-Bone to get in this time. This track is very, very brutal. Well, here's another track I can probably talk a little bit about. It's a 205-604 by Kryn. Legend himself. Kryn has been very, very dominant on here in the sort of very recent history, but obviously had a very good record battle with myself. I had a very good record battle with him, sort of ending of 2025, entering into 2026, with the addition of a load of new strats. This track has had a very big makeover, sort of in the last 6 months, with a character change, loads of added strats, like the starting strat, which we just saw, where you go off the side of the little the ledge of the ramp. Not the bit in the lava, that's been done for a while, but the one before then, jumping off the wall early. And there's other stuff as well. But yeah, I myself have a mid 0.8 here, but world record has been pushed down to a low 0.6 by Kryn, which is very, very impressive. This is a really, really strong world record. The Candle Chaos strat, implemented by me, which I used to take back the record from Kryn from the first time when I changed the character as well to Mario/Rocky Wrench. And this new ending wall, which is interesting. It's a more consistent way to do it, and it's pretty fun. There's different stick angles you can hold to get like different amounts of air. So yeah, definitely one of those where, I don't know, there's lots of micro time saves that can be squeezed out of this track. It's a difficult one to optimize, this one, but Bones Burnout is definitely one of my favorite tracks to drive in the entire game. I think it's so much fun, and Kryn has done a really good job of showing that off with this run, and there's a lot of untapped potential here. There's strats that we haven't implemented into the world record yet, but the reason we haven't implemented them is because they are so difficult. And it's a track I definitely could see myself coming back to at some point. It's not the top of my priority list. My priority right now is that I want to probably go for another unique track when I get the time, rather than going back to this track. So, but I don't know, maybe at some point, if the record stays sort of stagnant for a while, I could see myself coming back here. But Kryn has done a great job here, and it'll be interesting to see if I can trade records back and forth with him even more. But I don't know, there's been other record holders on this track. Obviously Zay, sort of end of and back in 2005, Zepline, a Japanese player as well who I don't know the name of, but who I took record from when I got the first 206. But yeah, this record is a pretty good one, pretty underrated honestly. I don't always hear people talking about this track, but I think it's just one of the better records in the game right now. Probably in the top 10 at least for me. But yeah, really good run by Kryn, so well done to him. Guess who's back? Back again. I am back. I have Moo Moo Meadows world record. Yeah, 153.309 by Spezzy. That's me. Yeah, very happy. Got this record back about maybe just over a week ago now, it would have been. And yeah, really happy. So, Kinzo is the main man I should be talking about when I talk about Moo Moo Meadows. Of course, this is my world record, but Kinzo is the main driver of making this track so optimized. And yeah, but I'm happy also I've been able to push him a little bit over the past sort of 6 months. Because Kinzo had the longest lasting world record in the game. He had the first 153 on Moo Moo Meadows, which was then beaten by myself, which I then had a mini exchange with him. He took it back. I took record back for only about 30 minutes, and then he took it back and held it for a very long time until last month, where I decided I was going to come back to Moo Moo Meadows because this track is just so much fun. And whoa, frame perfect. I'm going to see that again, so I'll talk about it more. Don't worry. This track is just one of my favorite tracks to time trial in the game, probably my second favorite behind GBR. Honestly, like I really enjoy time trialing this track, and I was like, out of all the tracks I've had record on, this is the one I want to go back to. So it's just what I decided. I got a new PB, decently quick into my grind, and Kinzo saw that and was like, oh, okay, well, Spezzy's going to take that. I'm going to start improving my record. So he beat his other really, really long-lasting world record, even longer than the first, the one that became the longest lasting. Obviously, that one was set later, so there'd been more records that had time to stand for longer. But yeah, and frame perfect release for the Yuki roll. That strat, you need to hold ZR when you land on the rail, and then you have a 1 frame window to release ZR to get that trick. And you need to hit it twice to get a world record. And Shroomless Tree Lap 3, which I always go for. Kinzo actually doesn't go for it in a lot of his world records because it doesn't even save that much time, but I just choose to do it because I'm a bit of a madman. Yeah. And then Harpen, shoutouts to Harpen for getting this record with a 0.5, which was then reclaimed by Kinzo, and then I took it back with a 0.4 and then got a 0.3, which is what we just watched. And I'm very happy, and I will continue to lower this run. So yeah, pretty cool, but can go down a decent amount more. But yeah, definitely one of my favorite tracks. We're now 80% done. We've only got 6 tracks left, and one of them is Choco Mountain by 12th. 12th has been another player who's been decently dominant on this track, getting the first 200. I'm not sure if 159 is going to happen. Obviously, we are already 1 second away, so it would be really, really cool to see at some point. It's just one of those things that you say because, you know, it's like, oh, we're 1 second away. It's like, okay, well, would you say that about any other track that's also high on a sub? It's like, probably not. Well, we're just saying this because we're close to sub, you know, we're 1 second away from sub 2, you know, but nonetheless, it would be really cool to see at some point, but we'll take a 200. There are strats that you can add here, but they are just so difficult, which maybe we'll talk about in the future when they get added. But for now, let's enjoy 12th run, because this is a very, very solid run of Choco Mountain. Really close to that charger chuck, Jesus. But yeah, let's have a little look of the record history, because of course there's been multiple players who have come and gone here. Ace being one of them, by the way. Ace managed to pull through on his attempts, getting a 201.177 before 12th eventually took this record back after sort of like a month and a half. But yeah, Ace is really cool, so I want to shout him out. Logan as well got this during his obviously grind for 30 out of 30. It was one of the later tracks in his grind, so it actually stood for a decent amount of time. Another who we mentioned earlier in the video about Wario Shipyard, he's come back to playing this track from what I understand, so definitely could see some world record developments on this track in the near future if another keeps playing, or maybe even 12 wants to come back and try and defend their record. Could be very interesting. Zaya, another person, by the way, who developed this track a lot through all of the different strat changes. And yeah, so there's been a lot of people who have come together to make this track so optimized. Maybe another one of those tracks, just maybe a little bit forgotten by people sometimes, but it is a really cool track to watch time trials on. But it just can be a little bit inconsistent with the mud stuff at the start, of course, like I just saw. It can be a little bit inconsistent, but then this sort of charge jump strat here, which I find really cool. You go all the way up to the wall and then bang. Really, really awesome. So yeah, lovely to see. Park Avenue's online. Huh, that's interesting. We'll see him later. But yeah, really clean run by 12. I'm not sure what the BKS is. Let's have a little look here. It is a 2:00.701. Okay, so it's just under 0.3 ahead of this record here. So definitely can see the track coming a little bit more, but it is an optimized record. So very well done for 12 for this one. Well, speaking of optimized world records, this is definitely a track I would have in my top 3. 151.184 by Arisugawa. It's a track I'd put on the same level as, you know, the Legui Man, Airship Fortress run, and Jorge on Whistlestop Summit. I mean, in terms of the strength of the run, I mean, such a good run here by Arisugawa, taking down the longest lasting record in the game by F and pushing the track even further. Even though, where do you save time on this track? I mean, this track is, look at the mini-map, it's loads of straight lines. This isn't Mario Kart world. This isn't the Mario Kart world I know. I mean, what is happening here? But yeah, this is just Arisugawa doing Arisugawa things. Again, obviously mentioned earlier how good of a player he is. And runs like this show it. I mean, if you can get world record on this track, it means you are damn good at driving. And he shows it off incredibly well here because, I mean, spot a mistake. I dare you. Try find one. I mean, it's just so, I mean, this run is unbelievably optimized. The lines are simply ridiculous, and yeah, it's crazy. I don't know. I couldn't imagine grinding this track for world record. This is just so not me. It's kind of nuts, but yeah, credit where credit's due. Really optimized. There's not too much to say here. In terms of the developments, the main contributors have been, you know, Alberto for a bit, and then obviously F kind of took the torch and then got the track to such an optimized state, which was then pushed further in sort of the last month or two by Arisugawa, who picked up this track and had a pretty long record grind from what I understand. I mean, he was on tops for a while before he got record, which is kind of unusual for Arisugawa, but it shows how good F's run was. So yeah, credit to F as well. Deserves so much praise for being able to bring this track to such an optimized point. Yeah, this run is crazy. I mean, I haven't spotted a mistake yet. I don't think I will. The only mistake that you can really point out is the fact that you can actually get a phantom trick there. I don't know if it's called a phantom in that case because you are tricking off something. But at the end of the conveyors, there's a slight lip that you can get a trick off sometimes, but it's ridiculously hard, so I think that could be a future optimization. But other than that, such a good run by Arisugawa, so well done to him. Bowser's Castle in 2 minutes and 9 seconds by G. Danzy. Mr. Italy himself, a veteran of Mario Kart. I mean, he was getting world records before I even entered the Earth. It's crazy in Mario Kart DS, in Mario Kart Wii, etc. I mean, he's been such a dominant force in the whole sort of Mario Kart sphere. So it only makes sense he'd get a record on such a legendary track like Bowser's Castle. And in his own way as well, because we all knew for so long in the time trial community that G. Danzy could take this record any day and destroy it. This track was heavily optimized by Japanese player Rai, who had a mid 210. I believe it was like a 210.50, maybe 505, I don't know. But it was something like that. But yeah, but we knew the track could go down low because of that starting shortcut that you just saw, which could have been implemented all through that switch, which G. Danzy then did, because he's an absolute madman, even though it's so difficult. And adding this strat as well, where you don't use the pole for this shortcut. He's crazy, and this record can be beaten. This record has optimization left, but G. Danzy, from what we know, isn't really actively playing this track anymore because he played it for so long to get world record and has a pretty good lead. So it doesn't really need to worry. But yeah, this strat is just, oh my goodness. I mean, I wonder if you could start a drift on the landing rather than, you know, going wide and then sort of starting the drift, because it kind of looks a bit slow intuitively, but I haven't tried the strat, so I don't know. I just realized, by the way, that the whole like screen is reflecting off my face. I'm like watching the video, I'm like looking at my OBS, and it's like it's like crazy the amount of changing lights. So he's just going so quick, you know. It's just like bam, flash. But yeah, there is a big mistake in this run though, and it comes at the end here, which I will show. Of course I'll show, because I'm showing every single record. But he misses this trick right here. And that loses a bit of time because you have to do a normal charge jump, which is pretty disgusting, to be honest. But it doesn't matter because, of course, he hits this free for free, and he's miles clear of second place. He's at least 0.6 ahead, second place. So I don't think he's that bothered, to be honest. Otherwise he'd keep playing. But yeah, I think he's got sights on other tracks now. What, sort of endeavors he's gonna undergo in the community, we shall see. So maybe how long he sticks around, I don't know. But I mean, he's just so experienced. So he's done this a million times. So I could see him getting a lot of different records if he devotes the necessary time to it. And yeah, this is such an impressive run. It cannot be understood, even with that mistake, how good that run is. So really well played. Only 3 tracks left now, and it's one that I can luckily speak about because it's one that I had world record on pretty recently. It's a 156.986 by HD Demon. Let's go. Demon, the king of Maple Treeway in Mario Kart. We obviously had other records in that game as well. Like, I don't know. I think he had, like, GCM Mario Circuit and some others. But I don't know. It doesn't matter. He's the Maple Treeway guy. So, of course, what did he do? He looked at Mario Kart World. He went, where are the trees? Where are the trees? Ah, Acorn Heights. And then he picked Acorn Heights and decided to be the best player at the track, which is fair, I suppose. I don't know. Leave the trees for someone else, you could say. But, nonetheless, really, really impressive stuff by Demon. This track has actually had a decent amount of optimization in recent times, relating to that double trick, which we just saw on the rail just before the glider, and the implementation of a new shortcut, which was discovered by a guy called Spezzy. I'm not sure who he is, but you kind of clip the side of the wall, and it saves a bit of time. And yeah, Spezzy used that to get world record here. Which is pretty cool. He only did it on that one, of course, though, because he found it a little bit inconsistent and was like, okay, I'll just get a record with only doing a lap 1. Demon took the torch, made it free for free, added this sort of double right trick thing, and yeah, has sort of been gone ever since. And getting the first 156, being gone of second place. I mean, he hasn't like disappeared. Don't worry, he's still around, and I'm sure he'll want to improve this more at some point. But yeah, this record was pushed heavily in sort of the early phase of the game by Nanu, and then Demon sort of took the torch with the implementation of the shroomless cut sort of 2/3 of the way through the track where you bounce off the pole, which we'll see again, and then now like shrooming at the end. And then I got the record here, back about just over 2 months ago, back in March. And haven't gone back to it since because I don't really have a reason to, because it's not a track that I'm like. I mean, I enjoyed going for record on it. I'm very proud of getting record on it, but it's not a track I'm massively fond of, and not fond of. Like it's not the type of track I typically play. It's a very difficult track to optimize because of how there's not too much time saved because a lot of it's on rails. It's difficult to save time. So yeah, it's just very, very difficult to save time on. But well done to Demon, especially with what I've just said and having a decent lead on second place. So very, very well done. 2 tracks left now. We have the shortest track in the game, followed by the longest track in the game. So starting with the shortest track in the game, we have a 102.934 by Jack, making his final appearance in the video. You'll remember him from Dandelion Depths and Peach Stadium. There we go. Memory finally kicked in. There's been a decent world record battle on this track. I mean, there's been a lot of players who've come and gone, had records here. The likes of Genzua. I'll just look at the page. Quelly, Zay, Lean, Patata, and Kaiser Clement, who got the first 102 here. But then Jack, has taken this track and has ran with it ever since, having a very small lead over second. But obviously, because of the track's such short length, that's actually a decent amount of time. But yeah, lap 1 not the best, but the real reason this run is well good is because of the lap 2 and 3, which are very, very, very good. I mean, particularly the lap 3, I remember was very, very good. I think this one's like BKS. Yeah, this is BKS. Wow. Oh wait, no, it's not BKS. I'm lying. It says 4 or 5, but then it says world record is a 386. So I don't know if that was a different coin strat. I think that must have been. Yeah, he got an extra coin in map 2, didn't he? So I don't know. Maybe the BKS sheet is outdated, or maybe he actually did a slower thing. I have no idea. So, but yeah, nonetheless, this track will have a little bit of way to go, but it's a really, really good record. So well done to Jack. That was way too quick. It's the final countdown. Park Avenue. I don't know. 353, 693 by Park Avenue. My very good friend. Love to see him at the top of the leaderboard, being so dominant He is just so dominant on Rainbow Road. Over 0.7 ahead of second place, which is Logan, setting his 30th out of 30 world records. Unfortunately, we don't see him having a record anymore, as he has unfortunately quit the game until further notice. But yeah, Park Avenue on top. Let's give his run a watch. Park Avenue, very good friend of mine. Of course, in the glorious group chat, which I mentioned at the start of the video. Someone I talk to a lot, someone who I watch a lot in terms of his gameplay. Love watching him play Rainbow Road, because he is just he's so freaking good. He's so good at the game. He's so good at the game. That's why he's the GOAT, you know? Like, he's so good at this track. He makes Rainbow Road lovely to watch. He's implemented all of the strats, basically. You know, we're missing a couple, but it's fine. He's taken this track to a new level. It's pretty awesome to see. Actually had to do a little backup strat there because he missed the Rainbow MT, but we won't talk about that. But no, this track is on a little bit of a pace lock until you get to about halfway through S2, section 2. Because of the coins that drop from the train. So we don't use any mushrooms before then. Instead, we sort of just get all the coins we can, get to that pace lock, and then from there, it's go time. But the track is so difficult. I mean, there's difficult stuff every single lap. I mean, it's really tough. But, you know, I mean, that's what some people thrive off, and clearly Park Avenue thrives off that. Now, there are other people who have, of course, been dominant on this track. I mean, Technical being the main one. I think a lot of people who are maybe more casual, they think of Rainbow Road, they think Technical. Yeah, of course. But Technical hasn't had record on here for a little bit since Logan took the record. And obviously, Park has pushed this even so far beyond what I think anyone really thought it was going to go to in the near future. And one of the reasons is, of course, the optimization of this shortcut, which is so difficult. But that's not it. There's more difficult stuff on this track to come. And if you haven't seen any records on this track in the last sort of couple of months, maybe last 2 months, you're in for a real treat here. Sorry, I realized I probably just like made my screen go so much lighter. In fact, I probably should pull up MKWS. I realize it's probably going to make me a lot brighter because it has a white background on the website, and I was looking at my OBS. It's probably making me look a little bit dark. It's getting later in the day as I'm recording this. I had a little bit of a break halfway through. So yeah, it's probably like 2 hours have passed since I started recording. And I'm sort of recording it not late at night. It's 9 PM now, so in the UK, basically daylight, because that's how the country works. But you know, the camera lighting probably looks a bit different than it did at the start of the video, so apologies. But yeah, I just sort of glossed over 2 really difficult strats. But I don't know, it's just Park doing Park things. Yeah, you just ignore it, you know. And of course, get to go look at the globe. I mean, that's so cool. I didn't even really look at it much before, but looking at this from a top view is so awesome. Why have I never looked at this before? Am I stupid? I've never noticed fully that this is obviously okay, I know that this is the land below, but I've never paid that much high level attention. You can see DK Spaceport, I think that's on the right. I don't know, I've never really looked at that. That's so cool. And I can see Starview Peak, I think it is. So I don't know, man. This track is really cool. It's my favorite Rainbow Road, I think, in any Mario Kart game. I mean, it's so good. The amount of optimizations, and of course the cloud strat here can be added, but it is so difficult. I saw Park practicing it recently. Maybe he didn't want me just to leak that, I don't know. But whatever. He was practicing recently, and I was like, yeah, this is stupid hard. He hasn't hit it once. It's not good. But yeah. And for this ending shortcut, we now trick off the end because it's faster than doing a charge jump. Oh, it's just so cool, and the music and everything. And oh, it's fine, we're done. It's fun, guys. We're done with all the hard strats. It's not going to be anything more crazy that happens. You won't ride on the wall or anything and skip the last turn. And what the heck? That's exactly what he does, and it's so cool. And yeah, that is every single world record in Mario Kart World. Thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe. I will see you again for this type of video at the end of the year. I really hope you enjoyed. And yeah, that'll be me. I don't think I have anything else to say. Summer is Spezzy coming up. I'm going to be making time trial content all throughout the summer as I won't have any college stuff to do. So yeah, stay tuned. Loads of content coming. And yeah, bye-bye.